Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sangham namasami. Dear friends, today I'm going to invite us to undertake a Vipassana style of meditation. In particular, the Dhamma theme that is going to be discussed for the rest of this week is related to the worldly desire, or the kama tanha, which is not just the pleasure with the ice cream or the cup of coffee or tea in the morning, but even more important, it's the desire for wealth and accumulated possessions, and the desire for social connections, and having a secure place in the social world, having security with material possessions, which is a very poor type of pleasure, long lasting, not long lasting, not really very secure, likely to be disappointing. In the sutta, it says that the pleasure and happiness of meditation is the wonderful, safe alternative to the worldly craving. We'll just undertake breath meditation this morning, but I'm giving you this this advice in advance that if you notice the mind wandering, falling off the object of the breath, going away from the present moment of the here and now, or being restless, just ask very gently, what does the mind want? And no need to follow it up or think about it or anything. I'm just trying to invite that we would have the ability to notice when it comes along that the mind wants something. I'm not giving the object of meditation to look for what the mind wants. That's asking for trouble. Instead, we don't ask for trouble, but when trouble comes to us, we notice it with kindness. We can take our theme of meditation or meditation procedure to be practicing with the breath. That's a nice, safe, universal, and neutral kind of theme. So, welcome to come to an upright and balanced meditation posture. Whatever excitement has already happened earlier today, letting that calm down. Letting go of thoughts about the future or about the past. Just arriving in the here and now. with this body and the present moment. Being situated with the senses in the present moment. The touch of the body on the cushion or chair, touch of the hands, the air temperature touching the skin. Inside the body, touches connected to nerves or muscles. Relaxing. Whether pleasant or painful, one can relax and be present. And among all the sensations in the body, the breath can be noticeable. Noticing where in the body the breath is easy to notice. Letting awareness rest there. Like the breath is washed by the light of awareness. The breath becomes more tranquil. Any other sensations, like touching, hearing, or seeing? Can notice them, but let them stay in the background. The main object is the breath. Breathing into the sight, breathing into the sound, breathing into any other touching, keeping the breath in the front. And in the last few minutes of meditation, aware of the safe, pure happiness of meditation, wishing for the true happiness and welfare of all beings, to all as to oneself as to all. May all beings be free of affliction. May all beings be happy. Welcoming any questions about meditation, or if you have a question or an observation about the worldly pleasures versus the meditation pleasure. Okay, Mithakanti is going to. I'll do it you.
Yeah, I was thinking about the central or the Kamaloka or the world versus the meditation, and a thought that came up was like growing up in a culture that sort of emphasizes competition and accumulation so much. There's like a lot of unlearning that has to be done, almost like to meditate, and how yeah. Anyway, that was something that came up into my mind, like how much of the world is actually teaching us something else than meditation, which is more about being at peace, not needing anything else, and stuff like that. Anyway.
I'm going to call on Abramovar to see if you have anything to add or comment about this theme.
Thank you so much, Ayya. Thank you for that great question, because yeah, I do feel that meditation is sort of going against the worldly stream, and we really notice, I don't know about you all, but when I'm sitting, there's this sort of momentum of the mind that's engaged with the world, and we get to see that and we get to feel that also in the body. And one of the beautiful aspects of meditation can be to just notice that and to relax. Oh, which is what we're doing, isn't it? And we can feel the body relaxing, can feel the mind disentangling gradually. And sometimes, we're still thinking about this, that, and the other, but at least we know we are. And then we can really reflect on that, and we can see exactly what you're pointing to, which is how it is that we are, in a way, the practice is very much about stepping back a little and getting some space around our engagement with the world. And then the wisdom comes from this ability to step back. And it's so beautiful and so helpful. And just to enjoy, as you said, Ayya Sobhana, to enjoy the process, enjoy the relaxation, and enjoy observing the mind. And that beautiful question that you gave us, to see, what does the mind want? And to see what happens. For me, it wasn't so much ideas and answers coming up, but more like, oh yes, there's some tension, and then just the seeing of that tension, the feeling of that tension, and then the the relaxation comes. So thank you very much for the guidance.
Yes. In my case, in sitting down for this session, I didn't quite take time to get my body properly arranged on the cushion to be comfortable. So after about 10 minutes, the knee was hurting and the leg was falling asleep, and there's some restlessness from that. So I use that question, like, what does the mind want? Okay, so the mind wants to be a little more comfortable. And acknowledging that desire, I then remembered that many discussions that have happened about this theme, and so many Dhamma instructions given about it, then just mindfully rearrange the posture in order to reduce the discomfort from that, and to be relaxed. So acknowledging, seeing desire seeing the danger of desire doesn't mean that we should choose to torture ourselves, right? Other comments, questions about meditation? For some reason, we have an unusually good number of people present with us live and in person, as well as those who are a very nice number of people who came to us on the internet. I'll call on Elaine.
Upon reflection, it just seems that you can't be both spiritually rich and materially rich. That they're paradoxical. I don't know. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yes, that's a very good question. One of the suttas that we're going to talk about at 1 o'clock is about somebody who is a householder who is a stream winner, but they are still subject to sometimes the mind being dominated by worldly desires. And this tension is very clearly acknowledged by the Buddha. In that case, he does give the contrast between the happiness, the joy and happiness of meditation, particularly jhana or samadhi. And I believe that he's telling this disciple to develop that if he really is clearly able to realize the happiness of meditation, then he's going to give up his worldly possessions, or cut back on his materialistic possessions, the materialistic craving. But without self-torture. Yes, would you mind speaking to the microphone so others can hear you?
Can you talk more about the desire for social connections and what for example, I'm at the moment don't have a desire to see many people and to have many connections. What's the healthier, where do you want to arrive, I guess, with social connections?
The in the sutta, among the objects of sensual desire, it mentions fields, lands, and gold, cattle, and horses. I take that to be the material wealth that's the basis of feeling secure, that we're going to be able to survive comfortably. And then it mentions slaves and servants, women and relatives. And I take this as referring to the actual desire for social connectivity, and perhaps also can be like a power trip or like a politics. If you wish for slaves and servants, then you want to have power over other people. And then the Pali word for their relative is banta. It's referring to the relations who you have that have the responsibility to protect you. So it could be like, your parents or, your clan members, so that like if somebody insults you or threatens you, that the whole clan is gonna like come out and kind of like get in front and protect you from that danger. So then we feel that we have safety and security because of being surrounded by these social connections. And these kinds of desires, both of them, the desire for wealth and this social desire, is what can lead to competition, quarrels, division, conflict, and actual warfare. Not to mention, all those kinds of desires can lead to evil, unwholesome deeds that you might do if you wanted to, catch a slave or steal a woman or something. You could do something that would be an evil deed, and then subsequent to that, you could be reborn in a woeful state. And so all of those things are the consequence of being dominated by what I'm calling materialistic objects of desire. But in the sutta, these are called the objects of sensual desire. This is why I'm trying to get across that it's not just enjoying the ice cream or enjoying something that feels pleasant. It's actually the whole world. This world is called the Kama Loka. The world, and it's distinguished from the Rupa Loka, which is the kind of heavenly world. It's called the fine material world. So someone who's practicing jhana and has the happiness of that jhana meditation, they could be reborn into a heavenly world that would be that pleasant all the time. Or else they could be, there's the Arupa Loka, the immaterial world, which is like this, the purity, like the immaterial meditation, which is not touched by the five senses, extremely stable. And so this Rupa Loka, that's our world, because we're inclined towards materialistic, the Kama Loka, the desire world. That's our world. It's because we had desire that we got born into this world, and it's the whole. It's not don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. It's just you got born in this world. You've got this character, and then it takes an unusual circumstance of hearing the Dhamma and having the capacity to shift to get some distance and to be able to not be completely caught up and dominated by worldly desires. Does that answer your question? Yeah. But I'm trying to catch a hold of the thing that I'm not quite finished with. In terms of the lesson, you can hope that there's another Dhamma talk on Tuesday. I hope I've solved it by Tuesday. But the how to cut off worldly desire. What's the helpful? I mean, we say that meditation is extremely beneficial in being able to let go of worldly desire. But what else? What else is help us? What's the means? What's the way? What's the path? What's the practice that the Buddha suggests in order to be able to lose the gravitational pull that's binding us to worldly desires? Maybe somebody else can answer it. There's so many people here and you're all so quiet.
Damien did have a question, I think.
Okay. Yes. Damien.
Yeah,
Okay,
you'll
wonderful to see you.
yeah, you too. You'll be back today at 4, right? At 1
Yes.
o'clock your time?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry to enter the conversation late, but I'll come back at then. But in the meantime, thank you, Elaine. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm happy to wait while you get an answer to your question first. Okay.
Well, I don't know who has an answer to my question unless I Brahmavara has got the answer. I think the answer's in the sutta somewhere.
There's one thing that comes to my mind, Ayya. The teaching, which of course you know very well, also on the gratification, the danger and the escape. That just comes to my mind. It's like so these teachings are so helpful for us to tease it out, aren't they? Because just to recognize when we are immersed in sense pleasures and enjoying and maybe caught up in desire or longing for some sense pleasures, that just remembering, yeah, there is the gratification, there is pleasure in the sense realm, but there is also a danger.
Mhm.
And what I relate to immediately there is the fact that it changes, that nothing lasts, the fleeting quality of sense pleasures. They just don't last, and inevitably when the pleasure ends there's the discomfort, and so the escape then is to let go of letting go of that infatuation with sense pleasure, just recognizing it's great and it's so fleeting and so insubstantial. Surely there must be something better than this, and just that opening to that escape.
Yes. All the things I just mentioned about conflict down to being reborn to the woeful state are also listed and specifically as dangers connected with sense pleasure. Now, Damon, now I'm going to give you a chance in the last few minutes if you have a comment to give or a question.
Yeah. So just getting back to the question about the desire for social connection. So what I heard in your answer was there somewhere in your answer where you made a distinction between noble associations and less noble associations, and how one is sort of a desire for noble associations is a kind of a wholesome desire?
Indeed, the Buddha said about the Kalyana Mitta, or the noble friend, that we cannot make it without the noble friend. Just the same way, in the realm of like material senses, the Buddha said that, like for monks, to avoid dancing, music, singing, and shows, but it doesn't say to avoid taking a bath or eating something. So then those which are conducive to our health and welfare are allowed. We just have to have to take care not to be greedy. And so the same way, that then good friendship is definitely necessary for health and welfare, and even social connectivity in general, apart from having a Dharma friend, having a connection to family, parents, children, and so forth, is healthy with a caution. Okay, thank you for asking, and I think I'll call on Maureen.
Thank you, Ayya. It just strikes me that as a householder, I'm burdened by responsibilities. And in some ways, you have a community, and that it's very different, but you still have your social connections within your unit, your monastic life. But it's that all those responsibilities sometimes weigh so heavily. And I don't know where this fits in with what we've been talking about, but there is a big contrast to me from householder to monastic, the way we go through our life.
It is a contrast. I will say that within the monastic form, it's possible for someone who's not yet reached the goal to get the wrong end of the stick and to take things in a way that they really shouldn't take it. And in that case, it becomes painfully obvious, for example, in the case of social connections, how having a grasping or a possessive attitude towards the Sangha or members of the Sangha, how opposite it is to the Buddha's teachings, how painful and how destructive. And how, because you can see that there is something different in a way which is dominated by the warmth and kindness, which is without grasping.
Mm.
And the way that there can be a conversation where there can be a society where one is not craving to get some particular kind of feedback or particular kind of reward from society. I say this, Maureen, because it's still possible within the householder's life to discover all of these things. It's just that within the monastery, somebody with a worldly attitude sticks out like a sore thumb, painfully. And within the household life, somebody who's got the values and attitudes of a renunciate is the unusual one.
Mm.
But it's possible to be a renunciate within the household situation.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll call on Nita and Saket.
Thank you, Aya, for this wonderful meditation. Actually, I think your answer has sort of answered my question also. But my thing was like when we are collecting wealth, it's more about, for example, for us, it's become more to just be secure so that we can retire and don't have to worry about earning again, or hoarding money. But there is this fear that, so recently we've been thinking about retiring and just focusing on the spiritual path. And the question comes to my mind, and the fear also is that whatever we've collected, would that be enough to sustain ourselves for the rest of our lives? Or what if something happens um, and the wealth is not enough for us to just have a basic living? So, how to deal with that fear of uncertainty is my question. Thank you.
It's a wonderful question, and that made me remember something, and that is the teaching about generosity and how a person who has accumulated wealth through a lawful and ethical means, that the Buddha does not condemn them for accumulating wealth, but he does recommend that they should be generous. And people who I know who are very generous, and both generous and wealthy, that creates a kind of like there's a synergy of abundance, which is creates a psychological health and healthiness and psychological welfare, even while there is that material wealth and like a realistic attitude towards material wealth, but it's very much I think balanced off and protected when there's both the practice of generosity and the attitude of generosity is present, and that's the protection from becoming a miser. Yeah, good. Thank you. That's a great
Thank you.
closing question. I think now is the good time to pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teachings so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. Okay, thank you all. We'll see some of you back again at 1 o'clock in California time.
Thank you, Ayya.
Thanks, Ayya.